Hello, everyone, and welcome to the world's most famous podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Maddison. Today, we have a very special guest, Aaron Richards. Now, he's not just a financial expert, he is a game changer in the world of wealth building and strategic investing. As the founder of ATN Unlimited and the author of 3 Acquisitions of Wealth, he has helped countless individuals to break free from traditional financial constraints and create lasting prosperity. And on today's show, Aaron is going to be sharing groundbreaking insights on global investment opportunities, medical tourism, and the power of thinking beyond borders. So his expertise in alternative assets, tax efficiency, and financial independence is going to make this a conversation for everyone to listen to, anyone who's seeking to take full control of their financial future. So let's welcome Aaron to the show.
Gonna say.
How are
Oh,
you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. So it's such an honor to be able to spend some time with you today to glean some of your wealth wisdom gems that I think our audience is really going to appreciate. So let's dive right in.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so can you share a little your journey leading up to the founding of ATN Unlimited?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, first of all, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised there until I was 19 years old. My parents were both pastors. And so what that means is I grew up in the church. I was literally there like 7 days a week, it felt like. And so I have 2 older siblings as well that my sister's about 4 years older, my brother's about 2 years older. And so they helped, develop me as well. And when I was in Cincinnati, as a kid, I really wanted to push the envelope, right? Test the boundaries and see what I could get away with, see what things could be created from imagination, from collaboration, and all of those things. So since I was young, I wanted to. I guess you could say be a leader, be someone that, had new information that people could use to take advantage of things. So fast forward to when I was out of the house, I ended up moving to Arizona. And in Arizona, I was able to get my bachelor's degree from Arizona State, my master's degree from Grand Canyon University, and eventually I started working for Grand Canyon University as a counselor
Hmm.
and rose my way up through the corporate ladder, was making 6 figures, was able to move to Los Angeles. And that's really where the entrepreneurial spirit really kind of like took off
Hmm.
because I was working in business development with Grand Canyon University. And, with that, it was basically like you had to build your own book of business. And so I felt like, all right, I don't really know anyone. I don't have contacts here in Los Angeles. Where do I start? How do I begin? So it just was, literally going from business to business and the accounts that were in my territory, which was West Los Angeles. And I realized as I was booking these appointments and meeting with decision makers and creating agreements and putting on different events at these accounts, I was like, holy crap. The only difference between me and an entrepreneur is the fact that I don't have my own product because I was an ambassador for GCU,
Hmm.
and I don't have my own capital to promote that product. So at that point I was like, okay, I got to figure something out.
Hmm.
um, and so that was a great experience though, because I was what you would call an intrapreneur. And so as I was working through the ideas of how to transition from being an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, I was trying to figure out a problem for myself. I was trying to solve a problem that I had, which was how do I separate myself from needing to have an income that I earned and be able to develop some level of a passive income.
Right.
I had been able to generate a good amount of savings and things like that. And so for me, I wanted to be able to figure out how to earn money passively so that I could, go off and do whatever it was that I wanted to do.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's the motivation for entrepreneurship is freedom. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I'm right there with you. You kind of reach
Yeah,
this point where you're like, okay, it's got to change, and I got to take, you know, command of my destiny and create something of my own. So good for you.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. And so, what ended up happening was I decided to try Shopify automation myself. And I was like, this is going to work. This is going to be great. And it was a flop. I
Oh
lost, it
no.
was spent tens of thousands of dollars and only made, a few hundreds of dollars. It was not really a good thing. Um,
Unfortunately, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we have to learn lessons the expensive way.
Exactly. And so I learned several lessons the expensive way. I did Shopify, I did Amazon automation, that failed miserably. And then I did Walmart automation and that was successful. I was
Oh.
like, this is great. This is excellent, but it didn't last very long. And so I wanted to figure out something that could be sustainable. And that's when I was like, let me just join a mastermind, an investor mastermind to see if I can learn any insights from people who are way ahead of me in business and
I love
investing.
that. Smart move.
Yeah. And so when I joined that mastermind, that's when I met a group of traders that they were only trading for high net worth individuals at the time. And I wasn't necessarily that at all,
Hmm.
still being a six-figure employee. And so, but they decided that they were willing to trade on my behalf as well. So those trades were successful. And the trading is in the foreign exchange markets. And they did it very successfully. And I realized like I was looking for passive income before. And I
Hmm.
know that there's a big group of people that were looking for it as well. They're stuck in the
Right.
time for dollars trap. They've got the golden handcuffs, so to speak. And so
Right.
once I figured it out for myself, and that's when I was just like, you know what? I have the blueprint now, and I can kind
Yeah.
of go bring this. And so that's full circle with GCU being an entrepreneur and figuring out, okay, now I have a product and then be able to leverage some of the capital that I did have in order to market it, and that's where we are today.
That's excellent. And so, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? So, for let's say for newer investors, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners aren't necessarily new investors, but for new investors, you got to start somewhere and be willing to kind of take that risk because the opportunities are there.
Yeah.
So now you've written the book, The Three Acquisitions of Wealth. Can you tell me or explain the core principles of acquiring knowledge, capital, and assets for financial freedom, or any other principles in the book that are important to share?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the book just basically encapsulates my life journey and what exactly I feel like the financial legacy that, a lot of people are striving to lead and how exactly they can do it. And I just figured that I came up with this principle in my early 20s as I was, kind of going through college and as I was, trying to work on wealth building principles myself.
Yeah.
And it was mainly just like, okay, from advice that my mom gave me when I was 24 years old. And it was in order to be successful in business and in life, you need to learn financial literacy. And so that was like the first thing. My parents, they both have their doctorates. My older siblings, they went to, really nice schools, Ohio State, Arizona State Business School, and things like that. And so I knew
Smart people. Smart
you,
people.
they
I
they
mean,
would
yeah. I mean,
they would
you're smart if you're teaching your children financial principles. I mean, I think that's grossly lacking in parenting, just in general, because it's something that we all need to know and learn and master from a very young age.
Exactly. I agree. And my mom was really big on it because she would watch Susie Orman, who's like a financial,
Right.
expert, so to speak. And then she would also watch Dave Ramsey. And, those were people that, I grew up like kind of listening to like as a, just like in the background or what have you. But when she specified like you need to learn financial literacy, I was like, I know money. What do you mean? You make $1 and you save 50 cents and you spend the other 50 cents on bills and other things. Like I
Right.
understand that.
Uh-huh.
But it goes way, way deeper than that. And
Yeah.
so when she mentioned it, it was like a part of my self-education. I had already been formally educated when it came to, academics, but I wasn't necessarily self-educated when it came to finding a subject that you really care about and learning about it in a way that, they don't necessarily teach you in school. So that's the first principle, which is to actually acquire knowledge first. Before knowledge, nothing can really, take shape. And so that you have to have that first foundational level of understanding understanding of how money works, how business works, how to do, finances the right way.
Oh yeah, 100%. So now, what has influenced your wealth building strategies, and why is your approach critical in today's economy?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, just like my background and growing up, I spent 7 years in private school and I spent, 5 years in public school as, in K through 12. And so those experiences, as far as like having two sides of the coin, gave me a lot of perspective and insight into how things are done at a really high level and how things are done at a kind of a public school kind of level, so to speak, where it's just like survival of the fittest, so to speak. So I had both of those perspectives, and then kind of going into my early 20s when I was learning about financial literacy, I would listen to Dave Ramsey, but I would also listen to the opposite person, which would be Robert Kiyosaki, where Dave Ramsey, or some people lovingly refer to him as Save Ramsey. He's big on mutual funds. He's big on getting out of debt. He's big on not taking too many big risks, because he did when he was in his late 20s.
Yeah.
He was somebody that over leveraged his wealth. He was in real estate and kind of like got margin called, got liquidated from the banks, and
Yeah.
basically became bankrupt. And so he kind of got spooked from leverage, got spooked from kind of using debt. Whereas Robert Kiyosaki is the exact opposite, where he uses debt and uses leverage, whether it's human capital, whether it's actual money itself, and then also information. He leverages information to be ahead of the curve in certain things. So I kind of took both of those approaches. And so you got kind of the conservative approach, and then you got kind of the aggressive approach. So I feel like both of those are needed. It's like, maybe consider it like one is like a screwdriver, one is like a hammer, right?
Right,
You
right.
use those tools interchangeably in order to make sure that you're building the best foundation and the best wealth building vehicle that you possibly
I
can.
love that, because so your experience in a mastermind taught you to kind of really pull from multiple sources of knowledge, and we can learn so much from others, but I love how you did that. You took the tools from both of their experiences and applied it to your own growth and financial growth and building strategies. So now, what services does ATN Unlimited offer to clients that are seeking passive income and to build their own wealth?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, we worked with clients that, are looking to escape the rat race, really. Robert Kiyosaki has a game that's called Cash Flow, and it's basically just showing that you can be someone who makes 40, 60, $100,000 a year and eventually escape the rat race, but it does take investing. And so what we have, it's essentially an investment group that allows for us to take advantage of the algorithms that are out there for foreign exchange trading. And so with those algorithms, I mean, the last 15 or 20 years in the financial markets have been very beneficial when it comes to retail traders, retail investors, because what was once only reserved for Wall Street has now kind of trickled its way down to retail investors. And so what that is like quantum computing and AI and algorithms that are used in order to essentially be faster than the market, right? You sitting there clicking, execute 100 times in a day is not really sustainable. But if you have an algorithm that is like execute, that's called high frequency trading.
Wow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Wall Street has been using for about 20 or so, plus more than 20 years. Whereas on the retail side of things, as far as like you and myself as an individual, that hasn't been available as before the past maybe 7 or 10 years. So it's leveraging new technology that's available to the everyday person. But the thing is, with these algorithms, they're complex machines, right? I mean, it's software. And
Right.
imagine giving the keys to a Lamborghini to a 12-year-old, right? It's not
Right.
really that smart of an idea. So for someone who doesn't really understand how to operate the software, operate the algorithm properly, then it's not necessarily going to be sustainable. It's not going to be,
Right.
really a good
It'll be
experience.
out of, it could get out of control. So
Yeah,
what you do is you have it's membership based, so clients can join ATN and you invest on their behalf, or are they involved? What's the process?
Yeah, great question. So how it works is when they do come into a call with one of my representatives, we'll just figure out what is their circumstances, what are their goals, what are their expectations, what do they want out of, having passive income. Once we determine that and determine it's a good fit, then they get to the process of meeting me and having an honest conversation about expectations and how things really work. Once they do become a client, if they're accepted, then they're going to open up a brokerage account. They're going to open their own brokerage account and put their own capital inside of that brokerage account. And then what they're doing is they're using API technology, which is basically connecting themselves to the algorithm and then being able to take advantage of the trades that are happening. So it's 100% passive for the client, and it's the algorithm is being ran by a professional trading team. So it's like
It's
instead
like
of
a
us
ready-made
having,
for you investment portal, if you will, so they can come plug in, get involved, and start making money, right?
exactly, that's correct.
Because
Yeah, instead
ATN Unlimited ensures a 5 to 10% monthly return for its clients. How is that possible?
well, we don't insure it because insured kind of is close to
Maybe wrong word,
guaranteed.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I just want to, obviously make sure that everyone understands it is investing at the end of the day, and
Of
investing
course.
involves a significant amount of risk, and that means you could lose capital. You could lose all of your capital. So what this is alternative investing. So what I always talk about is a portfolio, right? So as a balanced portfolio, you should have, some stocks, you should have some bonds, and depending on your age, if you're younger, then you should have more equity than, and this is not financial advice by any means, but the modern portfolio theory talks about an efficient portfolio. An
Right.
efficient portfolio is having a good balance. And
Yeah.
so, if you're younger, you have a higher balance of stocks. And then if you're older, you have a higher balance of bonds. But there's a sleeve that you should take advantage of, which is alternative investments. Alternative investments could be crypto, it could be collectibles, it could be foreign exchange markets. It could be trading algorithms and different options and things of that nature. So you want to have a sleeve of alternative investments to be able to outpace, the traditional 5 to 10% returns that are seen on an annual basis.
Right.
So the
Now,
way
are
that,
these alternative investments, are they riskier, less riskier, or to be
yeah,
determined?
well, no. So I would classify them absolutely as riskier for
Okay.
sure.
Uh-huh.
Um,
But higher potential ROI if you take the risk and it works
exactly.
out. Okay.
So there's a thing called the Sharpe ratio. And what you want to look at with the Sharpe ratio is basically, what is your risk level versus the potential return, right? So if your return is extremely high, but your risk is pretty moderate, then that's a pretty good bet. And that's where we like to keep things. And so, with risk, it is relative, right? When you don't want to risk anything and you're an extremely conservative person, then bonds are pretty good. Treasury
Right.
bills are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a little bit more of a risk tolerance, than stocks is maybe where you would want to go. But this is considered moderate to high risk. And it's just to have a sleeve, whether it's 10% or 20% of your overall investable capital. So that way you can, accelerate your growth, because we have historically seen returns, as little as 30%, as high as over 100%, depending on which algorithm that you decide to use.
So to become a part of ATN, is there like a membership fee, a sign up fee? How do they get involved? And where
Yeah,
do they go
yeah.
to get involved?
Yeah, so you can go to whether Instagram, it's at Aaron R Official, or the same thing as far as YouTube is concerned. It's at ATN Unlimited. And we'll hopefully put the link in the descriptions for both of those. But
Of course.
what you will do is, have a phone call first, because we don't have just a portal where you just click to buy, and get access.
Right.
You have to have a conversation. We have to make sure that the expectations are on the same level. Where this isn't a get rich quick or get rich overnight situation. It is, an actual, opportunity where you can take advantage of these strategies, and it does take a little bit of time, but it is, traditionally faster than stocks and real estate. So you click a link to book a call. You have a call that ends up making sense, and then we have a membership fee. We have a one-time membership fee that clients do pay. That's an upfront fee that takes care of the licensing, that takes care of, the access that we provide. And then you need to fund your actual brokerage account, which we help you to get set up. Once that brokerage account is funded, you're automatically connected to the different strategies that you decide. So we do have varying levels of strategies, some that are a little bit more conservative and lower level, risk tolerance wise. And then we have the more moderate, and then we have the higher risk when it comes to people that, have the capacity to afford it. And those are people that are more sophisticated. They have, they're accredited investors. They're people that have been around the block a little bit. And so we allow for those individuals to have access to kind of some of the higher risk, but of course, the higher return opportunities.
Yeah, that's great. I imagine you would have to have something for everybody. Let's talk about global investment opportunities. So how does thinking beyond borders create new financial growth opportunities?
Yeah, for sure. So my brother is a world traveler. He's been to like 50 countries. He currently lives in Australia, and he's somebody that introduced medical tourism to us. So my dad has Parkinson's. My dad is like that picture right behind me. He's got Parkinson's disease.
Oh,
And yeah, so he has that. He has Alzheimer's and also dementia and advanced stages of each of those things. And so when he was in Ohio, he was in a nursing facility. And that nursing facility was very, very expensive. It was almost $10,000 a month for part-time care. And that was back in like 2010.
yeah.
So now I am sure that price is, with inflation and everything, I'm sure that's more like 13, 14 for part-time care. Well, they
Hmm.
were telling him at that time that it was going to go up because he needed full-time care. It was going to go up to about $16,000. And so, I mean, if you could imagine, this is after insurance, right? This is like just out of pocket
Yeah,
as
no,
a
it's
son,
unbelievable. Hmm.
completely unbelievable. And so
Yeah.
we figured out that medical tourism was a better option for him. And so my brother and my mom set out to find a place that was not only cheaper, but potentially better in healthcare than the United States. And they found Colombia. Colombia, so at the time they were number 20 in the World Health Organization, which we learned a lot about with the COVID pandemic. World Health Organization ranks countries as far as their healthcare, facilities, their practices, their overall infrastructure. And they were number 20, Colombia was, whereas US was closer to number 40. And it was like, wow.
Wow, that is just one more thing that's wrong with this country that needs to be improved. But don't get me started on that one. Let's keep going.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I've got a whole laundry list of things that, this country could be better at, but I still live in this country and I love it. I'm proud to be an
Me
American.
too. Me too.
There is
Of
there is
course.
nothing wrong with being here, but of course, just like with any business, any potential marriage, any relationship, there's things that could be improved upon, and we got to recognize those things and be willing to work on those things.
Amen to that.
And so that being said, when my brother and my mom discovered that it was not only cheaper, but it was actually ranked higher than the United States, it was like, all right, let's try to convince my dad, who, is from Ghana, Africa, and lived in London for years, and then moved to Ohio. So he's kind of used to, he's kind of gone from third world to first world, over to first world.
Right.
And so Colombia is considered kind of more of a developing country in that sense. And so, just convincing him to go there was something that we needed to do. But he's been there in May. It'll be 9 years that he's been there and
Wow.
getting the greatest care that he possibly could. It's
Yeah.
extended his life so much more. And
Hmm.
so it's just medical tourism in that way. And so, we have invested into, my family has invested into a nursing company out there, and it's been very, very successful. We've helped them grow and scale, and it's been something that my mom is really driving that, head on in terms of, helping it to grow and scale. But it's been amazing to see, be exposed to how other countries do healthcare, and it's been something that's been helpful not only to my family but to other families that are coming in from other countries that want to take advantage of less expensive healthcare.
Yeah, that's fascinating and such a unique opportunity. So, how can investors use international strategies for tax efficiency and asset protection?
Yeah, I mean, so there's kind of two different things, right? If you talk about medical tourism, that's mainly for, if someone is sick, or even you can understand where a lot of people, maybe they live in Mexico in retirement, or they move to Portugal in retirement because it's less expensive. So
Yeah.
that's the one piece. But as far as taxes are concerned, that's a completely different animal. And
Yeah.
so what I
Sorry to
use,
switch gears on you, but I want to cover a
no,
lot of ground here.
yeah, of course. But no, I mean, my thing is, when it comes to taxes, of course, you want to have the best tax professional possible. And there's a difference between regular CPAs who are mostly just, they file taxes, and that's what it is. You bring them, your returns, you bring them your W-2 or
Paper
1099
pushers.
or whatever, and
Hmm.
then they're going to, file those taxes for you. Whereas a tax strategist specifically is, hopefully you go to them well before the end of the year so that you can work on ways to position your money, position, your setup the most efficiently in order to avoid as much taxes as possible. What I know about, the studies that I've gone through, whether it's, for investment advising, whether it's for, wealth building or financial literacy, the game is actually the game, the wealth game, right? Game of life in a sense, is is actually designed to avoid taxes. There's a tax code that talks about, like, hey, if you do this, then this will be exempt, right? If you have a trust that allows for you to do generation skipping, then you can avoid estate tax, right? If
Right.
you're the person who built it, well, you don't give it to your children, but if you give it to your grandchildren, you can avoid estate tax, or
Right.
things of that nature, right? Just little tips and tricks that allow for you to keep as much of your wealth as possible.
Right.
You putting it into traditional things like a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k that it's post-tax dollars, so you're going to pay it after taxes, but it grows tax deferred. It grows essentially tax free. And so those type of strategies, like to place kind of little pockets of your capital into each of those things when you're retirement age, in a lot of circumstances, you're able to pull from capital at a tax-free rate. So, those are things that we do talk about and we do help our clients to implement when it comes to all of the things that we offer with ATN.
Well, that's incredible. You are a wealth of financial wisdom. So, um, for those of you listening, get in touch with Aaron and start your investment journey with him. But tell me, what are some mindset shifts that are needed for someone to transition from, let's say, employee to investor? That's quite a quantum leap. But
It
what
is
do
a
you think?
quantum leap.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, anyone can invest, whether, the markets are pretty open, right? You could start with as little as $100, or even less, of course. So it's the mindset that it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And so you can just develop or adopt a strategy called dollar cost averaging. Literally just decide, okay, this is how much weekly I want to put into my brokerage account, whether it's $100 or $1,000 or whatever it is. You're going to consistently put that money, a direct deposit, put that money or direct withdrawal from your account, your bank account, to your brokerage account, in order to make sure that you're constantly investing. Because the number one thing that I found in terms of investing is actually funding it, continuing
Right.
to fund it,
Yeah.
right? If you just stop,
If
okay,
you don't put any eggs in the basket, you ain't gonna have any eggs in the basket.
there it is, right? There it
Right?
is. Exactly. And so
True.
that's what helps it, right? And so
Yeah.
just start. If you haven't started, just start. And then take advantage of things. If you're, an employee and they have a 401k plan and there's a match, if there's a match, then invest up to the match. If there's somebody who is at your office or what have you, that is whoever the most trusted financial expert is in your office, or if you have a financial advisor or whatever, ask the questions of how you can grow your portfolio properly. Or you can book a call with us and we can talk about what is your circumstances right now, where are you trying to be, and if there's a way that we can help you, then we will do that.
Well, I love your experience again, going back to the mastermind kind of mentality, because you've gleaned so much wisdom, and now you're willing to share that so people can just apply it across the board, and you have something for everybody. So this really is this as a financial growth solution through ATN Unlimited that can work for anybody wherever they're at in their financial journey.
Yeah, 100%.
So can you share, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I 100% agree.
So what is the importance of self-education, personal development, and calculated risk taking for any individual?
Yeah, it's straightforward, right? They're not teaching a lot of this stuff in school, right?
Right.
Even, I have my master's degree, my bachelor's, right? A lot of education, but these are things that, they're not going to necessarily teach you in school because it's not, beneficial for the overall society to have a lot of people that know all of this information. There's a reason why, most people still earn $40,000 a year, right, coming out of college because, the wages have not increased while inflation has gone up, tuition prices have gone up, right? All the cost of eggs have gone up, and it's frustrating, right? The
Yeah.
same starting salary for a lot of these professions coming out of college is the same as it was when I finished school, back in 2013. And it's just not something that you can really keep up with. It's not really sustainable. So that's something for me that I've realized that you're not necessarily going to get to where you want to go following the large crowd of people.
Right.
It's going to be too crowded. It's going to be too jaded. You're going to get distracted by too many different things. And so I always, kind of make sure that I have multiple mentors in certain areas. So if you want to get better in relationships, find someone who has a 20, 30, 40-year relationship and learn from them. If you want to get better at business, find someone who has built multiple 7, 8, 9-figure businesses and learn from them. If you want to learn how to invest, find someone who has taken, their, $10,000 and turned it into $1 million or more. And so it's really straightforward. I remember when I was in corporate and I was about 22 years old, I had no idea what a 401k was. And one of my supervisors talked to me about it. He sat me down. He's like, you have a 401k? Do you know what that is? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. He sat me down and explained the whole concept. And I was like, wait, so this company is going to give free money and match the money that I put in. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so I was just like, this is amazing. Let me take advantage of it. So that's why I feel like self-education is extremely, extremely important because a lot of these tools, a lot of these principles are not going to be learned in school. So you have to go to YouTube University sometimes and actually just, dig in on the topics that you're interested in, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's sales, whether it's consulting, whether it's, kind of just any of those bits of information that, for me, I look at it as when you're talking about self-education, the information is important, yes, but you also want to position yourself to learn a high income skill set. Once you have a high income skill set, again, whether it's sales, whether it's coding, whether it's, kind of, something where it could be a little bit more technical, whether engineering or whatever it is.
Right.
And, you want to have your time be as valuable as possible. So that way you can, move some of that capital that you're earning into investments and be able to, again, live the life that you want, where it's financial freedom, as opposed to being stuck on the rat race, barely making enough, and then having lifestyle creep continue to build your expenses while your income like kind of raises. Oh, I got a raise, I'm going to increase my expenses. Oh, got another raise, I'm going to increase my expenses. That's not
Right.
the way to build sustainable wealth. So you want to have an outsized amount of income, keep your expenses relatively low. And all of this in between is excess capital that should be invested in things
Yep.
that are building your portfolio.
Reinvested, exactly. So now how do you measure client satisfaction and ultimate success within the ATN Unlimited network?
Well, on our YouTube channel, again, ATN Unlimited, we have a lot of testimonials. And so when I sit, in this specific chair and I talk to them about how their experience is going, and, they say, hey, like, the one thing that I really love about what you guys do is your transparency and your speed to responses. So
Mm.
when, I started early in my career in customer service. And so we really value not only a good client experience from the results or the product side of things, but a great client experience as far as the communication and making sure that everyone feels like they're heard, feels like they have the support, feels like they, we're only one message away. So we have a system to where it's not just about sending an email and waiting 2 or 3 days for a response. We have communication channels that we're going to get back to you within an hour. And if you really need the support that like is more than just written support, then we're going to jump on a Zoom call just like we are now, and we're going to have a conversation and just make sure that everything is clear. So I feel like, the number one thing that we focus on is client satisfaction in the way of how can we support you in the best way possible.
That's
We
excellent. That's excellent. And especially when it comes to money and investing, and especially being a part of something like ATN Unlimited, we want to feel that support in our journey, especially when we're risk taking and maybe navigating waters that we're not so comfortable in. So that's excellent. So how does ATN Unlimited manage risk associated with automated trading,
Yeah,
if you can?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you can because there's parameters that you can put in your algorithms to make sure that you don't over leverage or you don't put yourself in a position to where it can be a really bad outcome. And so let me just make it clear, right? ATN is essentially a conduit. We position our clients to have access to the private traders that we use personally, right? We
Great.
personally use the private trading team, and so we pair
Yeah.
our clients with the private trading team. So ATN doesn't actually manage the capital,
Okay.
but it's in your brokerage account. And so the trading teams have access to it via like I mentioned, the API or the PAM system, which is a pooled investment vehicle. And so
Okay.
how they help to manage risk is by putting different things like stop losses, right? Making sure that in each and
Right.
every individual trade that it can't go past a certain number, right? And so typically it can be like a 1, sometimes a 3% stop loss on any given trade. And then what we also do on the account overall is what's called an equity protector. And an equity protector just basically means that, look, we're at any given time, we could be in 10, 20, 100 different trades all at the same time. And if all of them are hitting the fan at the same time, then there's an equity protector that's set at typically around 70%, where it's just like, hey, if we've lost 30% of equity, everything gets cut off. It's like a
Right.
master
Right.
switch that pulls it out. It's just like, look, this is just obviously not happening the way that it should be. And
Yeah.
so that's a risk mitigation, form that we do implement on those sides.
Perfect.
So it's at the trade level, but also at the account level as well, just to make sure that there's not a crazy amount of loss in that regard.
And what's the website where they can go right now to get in touch or sign up with
Yeah.
ATN?
So it's atnunlimited.co.
Love it.
And that's going to be the website that you can go. You can book a call. But also, what I always encourage people to do is look at, different podcasts that we've done on our YouTube channel. Look at our Instagram and see some of the things that we post there, the stories and situations that we do discuss on there, and form your own opinion of maybe, working with us is something that you want to do, or perhaps it's not. So I don't necessarily just say, just book a call, go on and just do it. It's
No,
like,
of course, it's got to be the right fit. It's got to be the right direction for you, and everybody's situation is different, 100%. Um, so, what is sort of like closing statement advice for novice investors, seasoned investors? How would you close us out?
yeah, for sure. Well, the thing that I would say is, if you want a different life, if your life is not the way that you have drawn it up or thought that it would be when you were younger, find someone who has the life that you do want and talk to them. Just have a
Right.
conversation. Figure out what they may be doing different. What could be different in your life that maybe they figured out, and find information, right? Be someone who's curious, and figure out it's not just oh, this person has become successful. Well, they tried harder, or they, knew the right people. And yeah, I mean, maybe that's the case, but
Right.
more so, they were more curious and they were more determined to figure out how to escape the rat race, how to, have a different life. And that's something that I feel like is extremely, extremely important. Find the person that you want, you would like to be, or you would like your life to look like, and stand next to them and figure out exactly what they did to change their circumstances, because the chances are they did not start off as a millionaire or a decamillionaire or
Right.
whatever it is. They probably started as an employee. They probably started in college
Yeah.
the same way that you did. And, they had to figure it out one piece of information at a time, one connection at a time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That
that's
is
something.
just gold advice, and I agree. I want to just commend you on what you're doing. I love what you're doing. You have such a unique investment mindset that I think many people can benefit from. I want to thank you for your time. It's been an honor to spend some time with you and glean a little bit of the pearls of wisdom that you were so generous to share with us today. And God bless you and all that you continue to do. And hopefully we'll have you on again in the future, Aaron.
Yeah, it sounds good. Thanks, Jacqueline. All right, enjoy your day.
You
Appreciate
too.
it.
Bye.